Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Behringer. And today is how to open and repaint a Lima Mk2 in Network Rail Part 2. And this, to be truthful with you, will probably be the final part, because since I last spoke to you, I've done a fair bit more. And without further ado, I'm going to show you and give you a brief outlay as to what the project was about. So we have our Class 57 back. So it's now running smooth. Now there's no feedback on it anymore, and I have it attached to the Mark II that I originally did. And the original project, or the project, was basically how to open one of these and how to repaint it into Network Rail. And so far, I'll just show you what I've been up to. If I just pull back a bit, I've got the various components along Behringer Station. And as you can see, the yellow isn't too far off the yellow on the 57, and it's a pretty much a very good match. So my radio survey train's coming along nicely. But what I've done is, not to bore you with all the details of masking, I basically decided to carry on anyway, but I'll show you a few other bits and pieces. On this particular one, which is the original one I did actually do some additional work on this, and that is that I did some bogey detail work, some additional I just picked out. And also that I think these are battery boxes or something. I've just picked out the handles, the springs, the axle boxes, as somebody kindly told me, so that was nice. And this particular one, Mark II, I didn't actually spray the chassis. So before I put the body on the other chassis, I wanted to show you what it was like with it being repainted in the rail match matte black that I painted and showed you. So this is the new chassis, and this is it being painted in the rail match matte black, and I think it's made such a huge difference, to be honest. I'm glad I did it. Again, I've picked out the bogies, the springs, the detail on the springs, the axle boxes, the battery boxes, and this is kind of typical for Network Rail Mark IIs through my research on the old internet. That a lot of the springs and axle boxes and bogey detail was actually all picked out, and a lot of the chassis was as well. It's just that I was finding it difficult to sort of match the detail on mine compared to the photographs. So, but I'm really pleased with it, and I'm glad I did respray the chassis. It's made a huge difference. At this point, if I decided to make a passenger coach, I probably would have resprayed and primed the seating, and then maybe painted it in the colour scheme of whatever the livery was, or the company, whatever, and maybe put some people on it. But obviously this is a Network Rail coach, so it doesn't really matter. But just to bear that in mind. Also to bear in mind, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the first video, but if you haven't, this is all done without using an airbrush. So this is all done usually by hand painting and spray cans mainly. The roof, I've just done this roof as well. It's the same colour as that one, and this will just slot back in. I've also just repainted this, so you've got the plated over effect, and then you've got the window effect. I haven't done any more to it as such, because I've still got the ends to do. I've got the black to add onto the ends there, and then I can start putting it back together again. I've got the lavatory window to put in here as well on this side, but I won't. But then, as far as this middle bit is concerned, it's going to stay as it is. So now hopefully you'll understand when I say it's got the plated effect. It looks like it's plated over. So that's where we're at the moment. And then hopefully I'll attach it to the chassis, and it will look pretty much same as that once you start picking out the detail. I mean, obviously I've got to pick out the silver on the bottom here as well, just to bring that up, and that will make a huge difference as well. And then I'll have another coach to add to my network rail radio survey train, and it's currently attached to my 57, like I said. But I could, like I said before, showed you in the previous running session, I could use the 37 DRS, maybe even the 57 DRS that I have, which is the Pride of Crew. And there's also some other options as well, I should imagine. But I just thought I'd give you a bit of a preview. So come back to me once I've done a bit more work on the coach. So here we are, welcome back. I've just done a little bit more. I've just sort of loosely fitted the body onto the chassis because I'm just still waiting for the chassis to go off. But what I've done is I've just started to pick out the detail. As you can see, the steps and the actual underneath. You've got the silver aluminium steps or whatever, and then you've got the black in the middle and between the yellow and the aluminium. I've done that also all the way around. I've now painted off the ends. I'm waiting for that to go off. Then I can do some more fine detail work or painting work like I did on this one here. There it goes. So I'll add that to this, do the same to that, and then basically I can start refitting the coach back to the body back to the chassis, and putting the coach back together again and having a complete coach. And then I've got a little rake of 2 coaches, which generally speaking with network rail, it was generally you can either have them as just the 1 coach, you can have them as 2, but basically they're all short sets. There's nothing I mean, you get the occasional long one, but generally speaking that's probably just the network measuring train that sort of has more coaches. But generally speaking, there's a lot of the majority of these things are short sets. I'm not sure whether I'm just going to keep it as 2. I know there's definitely going to be an add-on on the end there, so there's at least one more piece to the puzzle to add to this, and then after that we'll take it from there to whether I want to do any more. I'm really impressed with it, with the work done. I mean, considering I don't have an airbrush, and the paint finish is absolutely fantastic. Considering I don't, you just got to be careful with it and take your time. A few other bits to sort of note in case I haven't mentioned it. The ends I've done by hand because it's just easier than masking it off, and then that way makes it easier also with this part of the roof, which is obviously the grey bit, so that just makes life a little bit easier. And I'll just have a quick little chin wag about that. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned this on my shopping list originally. If I didn't, my apologies. But what I've done to do the steps is use this Humbrol acrylic number 56, and I've also used a Wilco's tester, which, let me just get this right, it's called Supernova 014, and I've just used that just to do the ends really. Also, I've just spent £1 in one of these art shops, just to get a set of cheap brushes, and they can just be used and disposable and all the rest of it, but because I'm using acrylics you can just rinse them out. I just picked these up from a local haberdashery store for just £1. You get a selection of, as you can see, it's 12. So these are the sort of other bits and pieces that I've used to do the finer detail on it. So it really hasn't cost me a huge amount, and I've still got paint left over. I mean, I've still got the primer left over, I've still got the yellow left over, so if I wanted to do any more, I mean, I could still use that paint to do a bit more. So, and I've also got more glazing as well, so it is, the more coaches you do, the more cost effective it becomes. I'm going to probably just do those 2, maybe one more. I'm going to see how I feel. Like I said, there's definitely another piece to add to the puzzle of that anyway, so there will be something else going on the end of it, even if there isn't another coach. So and then we'll just sort of see, or maybe I'll stick the 37 on the end of it and see how that looks. So anyway, just come back to me in a little while and I will show you what it's like when it's all put back together again and finished. So welcome back to this last bit. As you can see, the Pride of Crew, I just thought I'd stick it on the other end, just to sort of give it as a little mini rake, little short set as they call it. And I just want to show you that I've put the other coach back together again. As you can see, it was very fiddly putting it back together again, because it was, as you saw from me taking it apart, it's basically essentially the same thing in reverse, but with the added complication of the fact that because I've plated these windows, the plastic behind was slightly protruding, so you had to be careful because the glass, as you could see before, was attached to the roof. You have to be careful that when you put it back in, it doesn't actually pull away at these. I didn't really want to glue these in case I messed them up, so I just kind of left them as push fit, but you have to be a bit careful with them. But the thing being is that with the glazing for these windows attached to the roof, and obviously the glazing is still attached all the way along here, you just have to pinch it in a bit, and then once it sits in, then it will just kind of expand again, and basically these push fits will then be pushed tight up against the bodywork. So it does work in a lot of ways, but as you can see now, I haven't quite finished the end bit. I haven't done the railings and the little extra jumper cable heads and things like that I've done on this one here, which I will be, but basically essentially it's all together and all in one piece. Now what I need to do is get the transfers for them, and then that will really kind of set them off and finish them off nicely. I think I've done all the detailing that I can do on the chassis. I think the chassis looks so much better now that I've painted it in the matte black, because I didn't do it on this one here, and I think it does show. So I think it does show quite a bit, and I think it makes a huge difference. Once again, be extremely careful with this bit here, because there's a clip right by it about there, so when you try and prise it and pinch it, if you're holding the bodywork, be careful you're not holding it too tight along here, because this will break. It didn't break on this one, but I did give it a nudge or two a couple of times, so just be careful of that bit, because it did break on the other one. But this is pretty much essentially the second coach, and it's all ready to go, and now it's all attached to the other 57 at the other end. So that looks really good now, so I'm really impressed now. I think it looks nice. I mean, it hasn't cost me a huge amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. It's making the most out of some old Lima coaches, giving them a new lease of life, and in truth, in reality, that is exactly how it did work for Network Rail, because these Mark IIs were originally, from what I gather, they were Gatwick Express coaches. So obviously they don't use those anymore, and these are old stock, and they've gone through various companies and various repaints, just like in the real world. So, you know, these were ex-intercity coaches, and now they've been sort of like rebadged and repainted up as Network Rail coaches. So I'm really pleased, actually. Like I said, the roof's come out really nice as well. So yeah, it's looking really good. I've got a nice little rake here, a little radio survey train, as they call it. So that's it, folks, for that. There is going to be one final bit to it. I don't think I'll be doing, like I said before, I'm not sure if I'm going to add another coach to it. But if I do, I'm not going to bother going through all the rigmaroles of showing you how to do it, because like I said, it's pretty much covered in this video. So that's pretty much going to be it. So thanks for watching this little two-part series. I hope it's been of some use to you, even if you don't repaint them into Network Rail colours, but at least now you know how to get into these things. So if you do want to repaint them either into a different livery, or you want to change your glazing, or you want to put some people in it, or whatever, at least you know how to get into them now, and how you go about taking them apart. So thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment and subscribe as always, and I will come up with you shortly with a layout update, because there has been, despite the fact I have been doing this, there has actually been a little bit of other work that I have done to the layout, but that will be on a separate video at some point soon. So bye for now.